In this video, we're going to be taking a look at dividing mixed numbers. Now you will need to have your Go Math book out, turning to page 91, your math journal, and also a pencil. Now the essential question we'll be looking at today is how do you divide mixed numbers? So let's take a look at page 91 in your Go Math book. The Explore activity. It says modeling mixed number division. So it says Antonio is making sushi rolls. He has 2½ cups of rice, and he will use 1/4 cup of rice for each sushi roll. How many sushi rolls can he make? So we can see for section A, it says to find the number of sushi rolls that can be made, you need to determine how many fourths are in 2 1/4. Now you can use fraction pieces, as you can see right on my screen, to represent 2½ on the model below. Okay, so we can see 1 whole, 2 wholes, and a half, representing 2½. Now underneath these you can see how many fourths are in 1 whole. 1, 2, 3, 4, obviously. Okay, so if there are 4 fourths in 1 whole, 8 fourths in 2 wholes, we can see there are 10 1/4s and in 2½ pieces. Okay, so how many fourths are in 2½? We can see that there are 10. It's very easy to see right there in front of us. So we can see that he has enough rice to make 10 sushi rolls. Okay, so you can use fraction strips, fraction pieces. So you can see how that can be represented 1/4 into 2 1/2. Now let's take a look at the reflection part. It says, which mathematical operation could you use to find the number of sushi rolls that can be made? So we wanted to explain this. So you can see division. What we're doing is we're dividing the total amount of rice by the amount needed for each sushi roll. So the division problem that we can write is 2 1/2 divided by 1/4. So it says suppose Antonio instead uses 1/8 cup of rice for each sushi roll. How would his model change? How many rolls can he make? So instead of 1/4, he's using 1/8, as you can see. And the answer to this, I want you to write this down, his fraction model would need to be divided in eighths. Obviously, instead of fourths, it would be eighths. The total number of rolls can be made would be 20, which is twice as many because 1/4 is twice as large as 1/8. Okay, so instead of 10 rolls, they would be able to make 20 rolls. I want you to write that down in your Go Math book on page 91. Now let's take a look at using reciprocals to divide mixed numbers. And it says dividing by a fraction is equivalent to multiplying by its reciprocal. You can use this fact to divide mixed numbers. First, you need to rewrite the mixed number as a fraction greater than 1. Then multiply the dividend by the reciprocal of the divisor. And you can see these different steps, and I want you to look over them within example 1, all these 4 steps. We'll take a look at some of these problems and some of these answers. So you'll need to pause the video and look at those 4 different steps. So first of all, explain how you can check the answer. So multiplication is the inverse of division. So we can multiply 12½ times 1 2/5, since 12½ times 1 2/5 equals 17½, the answer is correct for number 4. I want you to write that down. Now for number 5, it says Harold serves himself 1½ ounces servings of cereal each morning. How many servings does he get from a box of his favorite cereal? We can take a look at this. We see 11 2/3 servings. So what happened here? We took 17½ divided it by 1½, and that gave us 11 2/3 servings. So the process of doing this, what you would do, so 17.5, you have to make that into an improper fraction. So that would be 35 over 2. 1 and 1/2 improper fraction as well. That's going to be 3 over 2. So you have to set it up as improper fractions, and then you'll multiply by the reciprocal of the divisor. So the dividend stays the same, 35 over 2. I'm going to multiply that by 2 over 3. So 35 times 2 is 70. 2 times 3 gives me 6. Changing that improper fraction to a mixed number will give me 11 and 2/3. You may think, well, that 6 should stay the same, but I simplified it, making it 11 and 2/3. So let's turn over to page 3, or to page 93. And what I have here is number 6, and I want you to complete number 6 on your own, and you can work on that now. So the answer to this is 9. And it is important to know the answer to your division problem is actually 8 2/5. However, she will need 9 total containers. Okay, so let's take a look at solving problems involving area. Okay, so it's important to know to find the area of a rectangle, you multiply the length times the width. If you know the area in only one dimension, you can divide the area by the known dimension to find the other dimension. Okay, so for example, let's say we have a rectangular sandbox, and we can see the area is 56 2/3 square feet. The length is 8.5 feet. What we need to do is find the width. So what we can do, 56 2/3 divided by 8.5, and we understand as far as making each of these an improper fraction. So we can see once each of these is made into an improper fraction, we have 170 over 3 divided by 17 over 2. You can do that reciprocal of that 17 over 2, and then you can see they multiplied. 170 times 170 over 3 times 2 over 17. You can see there was some simplifying going on step 3. So now you have the answer of 2 over 3, or 6 2/3. So that means the width would be, I'll just write it over here, 6 2/3. Now you can see those different steps on there, and I do encourage you to look over those steps a little bit more. And for number 7, let's look at the reflect. It says, how can you determine if your answer is reasonable? Okay, so you want to use compatible numbers to estimate. So you want to round the area to 56 feet, and then the length to even 8. So 56 divided by 8 is 7. So we know 6 2/3 is close to 7. So the answer, we know the answer is reasonable. So you can always double check to see if your answer is reasonable if you want to use rounding or compatible numbers. Okay, let's take a look at 8, and we'll do this together. So I want you to write this in your math journal so you can make a fancy rectangle or a plain one. You don't really need to make a fancy one. You can just make a rectangle right in your Go math journal, or your math journal. And we know that the area is 12 3/8 square meters. So the width is 2 3/4. Okay, so what we need to do is take that area and divide it by 2 3/4. So the first step will be taking that, 2 3/8. The first step will be taking that 2 3/8, changing it into an improper fraction. Multiply denominator by whole number, then add the numerator. That gives me 99 over 8. And then 2 3/4. Multiply denominator times whole number, it gives me 8 plus 3 is 11 over 4. So that's your division problem. Then changing that to multiplication problem, we have 99 over 8 times 4 over 11. What I can do is some simplifying, and you'll want to do that as well. I'm going to change the ink for that. So I know 11 goes into 99 9 times. So I'm going to change that 11 to a 1. That 99 into a 9. 4 can go into 8 2 times, so change that 4 to a 1. that 8 to a 2. So you can see I simplified a lot, which makes my life a whole lot easier. So now I can take 9 times 1 gives me 9. 2 times 1 gives me 2. Okay, so what I can see here, the answer, 9 over 2, is going to give me 4 1/2 for my answer. So for number 8, 4 1/2 meters. So what I would like you to do is complete number 9. You can do that now. Okay, the answer for this, 3 1/4 yards. Okay, I would just like to show you really quickly just a regular problem so you don't get confused. So we have 3 1/5 divided by 1 1/7. Once again, change this mixed number to improper fraction. It's going to be 16 over 5 divided by, it's going to be 8 over 7. Now what you can do is now multiply by the reciprocal. That's 7 over 8. I'm going to multiply by that. You can simplify. 8 goes into 16 2 times, so turn that 16 into 2 and that 8 into the 1. Multiply now. 2 times 7 is 14. 5 times 1 is 5. And we can see, changing that improper fraction into a mixed number, 2 4/5 for number 4. Now I would like you to do number 5 by yourself. And your answer is 3 1/2. And I would like you to work on number 6. And the answer is 4. Now let's do the essential question check-in. And we can see, how does dividing mixed numbers compare with dividing fractions? And we can see that the process is the same, except that you must first change the mixed number to fractions, or the mixed number to an improper fraction. So this concludes the video on dividing mixed numbers. If you have any questions about this concept, please come and see me.